Anyway, here is one coming in from Dexter says, "Dear algorithm warriors, no question, just a weird story you might find interesting. Love those. During my recent holiday in France, I visited Louvre,
All
uh,
right.
and I was surprised to find a lot of people walking around the museum with a Nintendo 3DS hanging around their neck. Turns out the museum had an official guide app on the 3DS store for years, and in
Oh, that's right.
2020,
I remember this.
they commissioned a special edition of the console created to be rented out as an audio guide through the museum guests. This version has special graphics on the front, marking the buttons to help people who are not familiar with the console, and it has a physical lock preventing the use of game cartridges. I find it interesting to find a niche setting, to find a specific niche being the reason why the 3DS can still be relevant today. Love your work. Keep fighting the dreaded algorithm. We believe in you. Thank you, Dexter.
That is a cool ass story, and I am going to use it to piggyback because we have so much extra time to my favorite psychological disease, unique to Paris, France. Wooly, have you ever heard of Paris syndrome?
The as in the Japanese thing?
Yes.
Absolutely. It is
Paris
fascinating.
syndrome is a nearly unique to Japanese tourist mental disorder, which is a sense of extreme disappointment exhibited by individuals visiting Paris who feel that the city is not what they had expected. It is a form of depression that is basically super culture shock because Paris is like lionized in Japan as like being this great place, but also everywhere in the world. But for some reason, Japanese tourists seem to get it extra bad. And so they go down to Paris and everything reeks of piss and it's disgusting and horrible. And it is it's such a bummer that it hurts people.
So I called it Postcard Paris, where there's a visual that you're going to have a little cafe, and you're going to sit at that cafe, and you're going to sip on a little coffee, and you're going to look out at the Eiffel Tower, and you're going to hear the soundtrack to Amélie Poulain. And it just is not that. And I believe this is the exact same thing that people with post-Pandora syndrome get, but they've just directed it in a different place.
Yeah.
Post-Pandora, same feeling for people who watched the movie Avatar with the blue tail things from years ago.
I'm seeing some folks describe that out in PEI, there's actually a variation of this that applies to Green Gables.
Oh, Anne of Green Gables fans?
Yeah.
Huh.
So, somebody in the chat points out, but Paris is real. Let me tell you, the version of Paris that you have seen is not.
Postcard Paris ain't Paris, man.
Every popular media depiction of Paris is wildly inaccurate to the point of it may as well be a fantasy land.
So I saw a picture that burnt into my brain and it never left me. And it was, here's what the Euro trip you think in your head will be, and here's what it actually is. And it's every iconic location. It's the Eiffel Tower. It's the Leaning Tower of Pisa. It's the boats in Venice. Everything beautiful. And it shows you what it will actually be like when you get there versus what it's like in a perfect picturesque postcard. And dear God, man, like Venice is clogged with boats and people going out on their rides. Like the canal
and the water in Venice is like dangerous, filthy.
It's crazy how it looks in reality by comparison.
Yeah.
You know,
San Francisco, I think of the Full House intro and the Golden Gate Bridge. What I don't think of is sidewalks covered in human feces.
And an app to tell you where the next shit pile is.
Yeah.
Which you can use. Yeah, man. You know, it's wildly like, it's a thing, but a lot of people that are like, you know, being tourists and going to a country for the first time, don't necessarily know what to expect, and they kind of drum up this image based on media and movies, and it ain't fucking it. What I can say is, like, you can probably fight back against some of that if you're willing to go off the beaten path to places that are cool but not as visited, you know? I mean, one of the ones that's, like, pretty fucking gross is, like, have you seen the lineup for Mount Everest?
I have not.
It's so fucking depressing. From the base camp, which gets left behind in just... It's a garbage dump. The base camp at Everest, and at K2 for that matter, are garbage dumps of just trash where people leave their shit when they put their tent up. And then the summit of Everest is a lineup of, like, couple hundred people waiting in line to walk up, take their selfie on the summit, and walk off. And it's like...
This looks like shit.
There's traffic on the peak of Everest. It's insane. It's super insane.
I tell you what. Somebody asked, why do Japanese tourists seem to be so disproportionately affected by this? I can hazard a single guess. And the guess revolves around my experience visiting Japan, that is, Japan looks like Japan. The number one thing that I remarked about walking down literally every Japanese street I ever walked down was that it was fucking immaculate, and I never saw a single piece of litter in my entire time there.
Postcard Japan is Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything that you can see. There's a bunch of weird shit you can't see.
Oh, yes.
But
attitudes,
everything you...
people, fucking... isms, all the isms that are invisible.
Everything you can see with your eyes
yes.
does look like the postcard.
Very important to specify that the Japan in your head, when it comes to the way people might treat you, is something else completely.
Yeah.
But the way it looks, absolutely.
I'm just, you know what I'm thinking of? I'm thinking of my own personal version of this, which is if you type in Mont Royal or Mount Royal into fucking Google Maps or whatever, you'll see these beautiful photos of, like, the top of the mountain skyline in Montreal. But what you don't see is the 35 raccoons trying to climb into your ass to steal your shit when you're trying to take that photo.
Yeah. It's something, man. It's fucking something. But yeah, and to some degree, like, those photos I'm talking about with, like, just all the Euro trip reality versus expectation stuff affect, like, where I want to go and what I want to check out in the world.
Yeah.
I don't have a super strong sense of wanderlust. I see particular things and I'm like, I'm very interested in seeing that specific thing. Let's go see that, you know.